Greetings, geeks. Welcome to Transmission 688 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Maldo, and joining me today in pretend low Earth orbit, I have Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And special guest star Cliff Lampy.
Salutations.
Crampy.
Salutations. This is your first visit of the whole year, Cliff.
That's
true. Yeah. Turn over a new leaf, are you?
Here in the future.
Right?
The distant future.
The year
distant
2000.
future.
The humans do feel dead.
The humans are dead. All right.
Let's see. All right. What do we got? Did we do
I think we
Matrix
left off here.
I watched the Matrix Resurrections for $20. It was cute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, gosh. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Wait. Got it. Okay.
Oh, whew.
So we did Goldfish.
Yep.
We pasted this in because it's funny.
It's funny.
And then
we did the airplanes.
We did airports. And then you love Time Machine?
I do. And I will totally
stories?
watch this, but I didn't have.
Okay. You didn't watch it yet?
I didn't watch it yet. How long is it?
It's 5.5 minutes. So
it's Jimmy from NCIS. I'm happy to see him working outside.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
So I don't watch NCIS, even though it's the single most popular show on the planet. So yeah, I recognized her from something. I didn't know what it was though.
There's a Michigan connection to NCIS.
What?
Which is that Mark Harmon, the star of NCIS, is the son of Paul Harmon, who was a famous Michigan quarterback back in the 1940s.
Oh,
all right then. So he throw ball real good.
In fact, there was a movie called Harmon of Michigan because he was such a handsome, like all-star, all-American quarterback.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad that
you guys like football there.
People
slightly
do.
fond. Yes, we are.
I've watched one football game so far this year, kinda.
There was a jokey series called Medical Police.
I saw that a few times.
We talked about it.
It's like an Adult Swim sort of show.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
also like
silly
Aaron
show.
Hayes here, who's one of those doppelganger celebrities.
Her, yeah, like, yeah.
Like you see her in a whole bunch of stuff, but you're never sure if it's her or that other person who looks exactly like her.
Yeah, we always refer to those as that guys.
Yeah, she's that gal of
she's that
Steven
gal.
Tobolowsky's, you know.
That's right. So the JWST
God, she's done a ton of things. Yeah, she's a working gal. She works her butt off. She's like the Nick Cage of Steven Tobolowsky.
Nick Cage, don't say that. That's mean.
You know, I think Nick Cage is a fine person, an actor.
Me too. I'm back pro Nick Cage.
You're pro Nick Cage. All right.
I've always been pro Nick Cage.
I'm a big fan of some of his oeuvre. You know, like The Wicker Man. Sign me up.
You're probably a big fan of. I'm thinking Moon. What's the one with Cher? That he was
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck. Yeah.
He was in Moonstruck.
Yeah, I think he won an award for it.
I don't know that I've ever seen Moonstruck.
He's been in some great movies, like Unalloyed. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's a great movie." You know.
You ever see The Vampire's Kiss?
Where he ate the cockroach? No, yeah, that wasn't his top.
That is true.
But
and then there's the movies.
Who eats a cockroach for his art? Nick Cage.
Then there are the Rorschach test movies, right? Like The Rock, right?
Love The Rock,
right? I mean, who doesn't, right?
And what's the one where they crash into the hotel?
Oh, Con Air.
Con Air, yeah.
I mean, iconic roles
for sure.
That's all I'm saying.
And I really like Mandy, and I really liked Pig.
I haven't seen Pig yet.
It's worth watching.
So
actually,
the JWST is.
You should watch Pig with your wife.
Okay,
I'm serious. JWST, yeah, it's now got a couple more weeks to get out to Lagrange Point, and it's just aiming mirrors now.
And do you know how long the mirror calibration will take?
Didn't they say months?
3 months. Yeah.
So now you don't feel so bad when it takes you an extra 5 minutes to get presentation mode to work correctly in a Google Meets.
Or or you're focusing with your camera. You know.
Yeah.
So, I love that so much that it takes that amount of time. There's something about that's just so comforting.
Yeah. Right.
The thing that makes me the happiest is to think about all the weird stuff that they have to deal with because one side of the machine is going to be like 500 degrees colder than the other. Like, that's a whole level of engineering that just tickles me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because the other story about the JWST was that they managed to use less fuel than they thought to get to Lagrange. So they're thinking they're going to have a 20-year lifespan. I don't know what that means for any refueling gadgetry missions. Probably they're just going to be like, yeah, don't do it.
If Hubble is any indication, though, they're going to start having computer crashes way before that.
They can't fix them.
I know.
It all has to be done remotely.
I know. Chris, you shared a story about a ramjet.
Yes. So you might remember from your early science fiction stories about what was often called a Bussard ramjet. And what it is Larry Niven used them a ton in his known space series, where ships would deploy these massive mylar magnetized, scoops that would drive interstellar medium into a fusion reactor, and then it would shoot it out as thrust. So some egghead, some nerd, a scientist did the math, and he's like, well, it's theoretically possible if you can get past these problems with inducing fusion reaction like that. But the ram scoop would have to be 4,000 kilometers wide.
That's big.
And it would take an enormous amount of power to magnetize and collect the interstellar medium. So
that might be how the Eternals giant space skateboard works.
I didn't get that far. I got 20 minutes in, and I was passing.
Let's save it. Let's save it.
It was literally terrible.
We want to do Boba Fett and the Eternals at the end.
Let's keep going.
Oh yeah.
Cliff, you shared a link about some TikTokers beef.
Yeah. So I don't think either of you are big TikTokers.
I go on the TikToker.
So there's been recently this thing, kind of a community storytelling exercise. And so there's these two common content creators, Che, who's a comedian out of Toronto, and the Vantalord. They've been around a long time, a lot of followers and stuff like that. And they started off kind of this like fake beef around telling male secrets, which was in this case how you can scratch your privates through your pocket if you need to, like discreetly. Okay. Right. And the thing that I like about this, and the thing that's been interesting, is that it's become D&D, right? What it is, it's a narrative role play that's super unstructured. So many content creators from so many kind of different parts of TikTok have gotten in on this, like weighing in and having just a ton of fun. It is honestly the most fun I've had on social media in probably 2 or 3 years, right? Because it's creative, it's storytelling, it's people like really go to all lengths to talk about this. People are taking sides, right? Like, are you siding with the council or are you a rogue? It's a lot of fun.
You're a rogue TikToker.
Wasn't that like Team Low Gang and the other Paul kid?
Yeah, but this is, I think, the difference.
No, this is more like it's an architected beef. They're telling a story about this council of, and tell me if I've got this wrong, Clamp, about the council of men who are like, whoa. It's like the magicians, they're like, yo, you can't tell our secrets. We're going to strike you and exile you from
and take your hands out of your pockets. We're talking.
That's right. And it's just, it is, as a dungeon master myself, it reminds me so much basically of collaborative storytelling and fantasy role play and stuff like that. And so it's just been a really kind of fantastic few days on TikTok watching this all unfold.
Now, here's my question, because I have a TikTok account. I log in sometimes and I just swipe for 2 minutes and see a couple things, and then I'm bored and I move on.
And then it's like 3 weeks later and you're like, what happened?
Well, so
your children are starving, your wife's come out of it.
So for me with TikTok, I never get any context. I watch a half a dozen videos and they're cute enough, but then I get bored and I leave. And what you're describing is this whole contextual thing. How do you get that?
I mean, some of that's up to the good TikTokers. So part of it's probably who you follow. and like making sure that the people you follow have kind
or the kinds of videos you spend time on.
But
Because
I
what
don't see
TikTok will
any.
do is, even though if you don't follow somebody, if you watch certain kinds of videos, it tries to trend those towards you. Like I get a ton of electricians bitching about other people's work, and like woodworkers,
I understand
and
how recommendation
not so
systems
much
work,
like the
Chris.
trollops dancing.
I just what I'm not seeing is like all I see is an unending diarrhea stream of seemingly randomly selected videos, and what you're
Mhm.
describing is it has
You
not
fall into a hole.
well,
Yeah.
it's that these are a blob. Like these are they hashtagged in a way that they're unified? That's what I'm not getting.
they're hashtagged and linked by at mentions. So
So
Gotcha.
you've got hashtag council, hashtag war beef, and these other guys. So
yeah, so those hashtags and everything like that will really shape kind of the experience for sure.
All right.
yes.
Yeah, Magnum says I should spend more time watching TikTok, which I have the time to watch more TikTok. I just don't. I've TikTok doesn't never really. It's cute.
So gross.
It's fine.
Well, now I'm picturing the URL you would use, like http:///TikTok dot. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to put it all together. So
It is one of those things, right? Like there's a lot of banality on TikTok for sure. And then, this stuff I really enjoy. Like because of my own proclivities, have ended up on cooking TikTok pretty often.
oh, there's some good
Sure.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fun cooking TikToks.
Now,
sure.
are we scared that the Chinese are controlling our brains with TikTok still, or
Oh,
did we just
for
stop
sure.
worrying about that?
Yeah. Once Trump was gone, that all went away.
Oh, okay.
When Trump was there,
The Chinese decided they loved us, and
Yeah.
they're not trying to control us through our
there's
computers.
a bunch of
chips,
nefarious
apps.
entities trying to control our brains. None of us are paying for it, so I have no investment in who wins the fight.
That's not true at all.
Well, I think you can give too much power to the Facebooks and the TikToks of the world. And in the end, people have minds. It's like there's no tendrils of electrons coming into my brain and reprogramming me. It's not a science fiction novel. Anyway,
we can
be a little more durable.
We
people
can agree to disagree on the subtleties of that statement.
All right. Well, and then there's, of course, the hegemony of Wordle. It's like since Wordle came out, it's taken us all over, and we only, the first thing we do when we wake up is Wordle. We talk about Wordle. We post about Wordle. It's Wordle.
I was actually pissed because like 2 days ago, like my 23-day Wordle streak ended. I failed my word, and I was so mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been another kind of surprising internet thing, right? Like, do you remember in the mid 1990s, for about 2 weeks, Gregorian chants from monks were
yeah.
hitting
That chant album was huge.
And I think,
and then River Dance. No,
yeah, well, all those things. Like, if you had to explain why fad, I mean, it's just a fad, right? Like, people get invested in that. So I've been thinking about why Wordle, why now, kind of thing. And I think it's the social comparison of it, since so many people, especially now, are posting their Wordle scores online and into their social medias. Like, you can see, like, it's social comparison. How do I stand up to others is always a, core human interest. And so,
yeah. And they do it with the colors without the letters, so it's like a very clever way of saying, "Ha, I got things quickly." Blah,
right.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, are you showing a Wordle?
I was just showing a screenshot because I was fiddling around.
You don't want to ruin Wordle for the few people who.
That's definitely not today.
That was not today's Wordle.
Oh, that's not today's. Okay.
Although I have opened with the word audio before, I think.
That's a smart word, because then you have
a lot of vowels.
Yep.
Yeah, I usually start with early or leans is another one. So the problem is, we're men of the world. We're computer people. We understand letter frequency, but it's pretty clear to me the Wordle people are like, they're trying to stay away from the most common letters. So I try to avoid. I used to use Storm because that has a lot of really often used letters in the English language, but they avoid those letters.
See, my strategy has always been, I don't really worry about vowels too much, but I try to get a bunch of weird letters out of the way quickly. If I can get like if
Q,
I can get
X.
not necessarily Q because that's so rare, but if I can get enough weird letters out of the way early, then it's really easy to get a second or third word that like save that S. You want to save that S for like your third guess so that you can like you have an easy word on your third guess that you can pluralize and get your S.
They also tend to avoid that, right? Like,
Yep.
because I think early on I was like, oh, trying all these pluralized words. They don't do a lot of pluralized
They
words.
don't, but it gives me the chance to reposition my other
Because what do
letters.
plurals have? S.
Yeah. I mean,
And they wanna get
that's
away from
interesting.
S.
Like, it's I think having a curated number. So some guy is just coming up with the word, right?
Yeah.
It must be like, and so I think doing that is part of the fun, right? Because it's then, if it were just a computer algorithm like generated word, it probably would go by word frequency.
Yeah.
It would be a
Well,
lot different game than what it is.
have you seen adversarial Wordle?
Yes,
That's hilarious.
Isn't that awesome? I played that a bunch of times a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
The genius of Wordle, though, and adversarial Wordle fails at this. Adversarial Wordle, you just can play forever. Wordle only gives you one a day. It's not
Yeah.
like when you're playing Candy Crush or whatever, where you can just sit and suddenly
There's no
an hour
ad.
has gone away. This is you get your word, and if you choose to take 6 hours and make one guess an hour, you can do that, but it's done.
Yeah.
What,
mean, they
what I
really
also like is the creator's name is Tom Wardle.
No,
So it's like he's like one letter away
Wardle's
from
Wordle.
his creation. I think that's fantastic. What a
He
guy.
really accidentally or on purpose hit on great dopamine tweaking, right? Like,
Yep.
he really does
Yeah.
get the dopamine process. And I do like too, like the other day, the word was favor. Hoping I guess I can't spoil it. It was 3 days ago,
Yep.
but it was a US spelling of
Yep.
favor. So
Yeah.
all my friends in the UK were
Pissed.
mad.
Well, yesterday it was Abby.
Yeah.
That one screwed me.
I hate double letter ones.
Yeah, anytime it's double letter, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I think I did that one in 4. So it was just super weird.
I don't think that's the word that killed me. I can't remember what the word was that killed me. That was like
It was a
4
couple
days
days ago. Before favor, I had one where I just didn't get it. You know, so.
I think when I give up on life, I'm gonna just create a Wordle spoiler page that just, you know,
at 8:01.
Welcome to Wordle
you
Day.
tweet
Let's
it.
talk about the word of the day. It's blah blah blah.
Hey, Wordle players, today's word is Abby. F you.
Yeah. I mean, we could do that today, but
That would be horrible.
hey, Wordle players, I don't know where you are, but today's word is blah.
Are you a big fan of Wordle? Love looking at that nice distribution graph.
Fuck you.
I'm going to create a hump on your distribution graph. That was the other problem that I had.
Welcome to the Wordle Troll podcast.
The first
brought
time
to you by Wordle.
The first time that I played it on my iPad, which is where I usually play it, was actually my second time playing it that day because I bookmarked it and then and put the icon on my desktop and everything, so I knew the word. And I was like, I wonder if I didn't know if it was the same word. So my very first guess I got on my first try, of course, because I'd already solved it elsewhere. And so now every time I look at my distribution graph, it's 1, 0, and then all the 3s and 4s. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just like a game that the entire country feels like it's playing to some extent or the other.
It's like Pokemon Go or what was it, Threes, when that came out a while back.
Yeah,
but
so
that was a knockoff of 1024. Was that what it was? Or 2048? I can't remember what power.
Oh, I remember 2048. Yeah.
I loved that game.
Oh boy.
Just today too, the Apple Store, like as you can imagine,
they pulled a copycat.
Yeah, a bunch of copycats. Yeah.
That's
well,
weird.
I mean, if they called themselves Wordle, they probably should have been taken down. But just putting up a game that's like this, it's like
this is just Mastermind. We all played this when we were kids.
Right? I love Mastermind. Man. What the hell word does it think I
Actually, that makes me think, like, what are some other classic board games that we just come up with a hook like this?
Oh God, I hate this game.
If we could figure out a way to monetize cribbage.
That's right.
Not a word.
Not a word. Norts. See, that's my other problem is that I put in a lot of things that just aren't words, but they're pretty close to words, and maybe they're like computer terms that aren't technically words.
The game that's been surprising me that's taken over my 9-year-old's elementary school is chess.
That my kids both went through a chess phase.
All the 9-year-olds are playing the hell out of chess. It's great.
That's that Anya Taylor-Joy.
That's right. She gambited her way into our hearts.
Indeed.
And then was murdered in Soho.
I haven't seen that yet. Is it good?
It's not Edgar Wright's finest film, but it is very, very worth watching technically. And there are like 2 scenes in the middle of that movie, which are some of the coolest and most visually cool things you're ever going to see on film. Whether or not the story pays off for you or not, that's a different question.
I haven't seen
So we know where the O and the T and where the N isn't. So we know the N is here in this layout.
I haven't watched any of these movies you're talking about. But I'm just going to assume you're talking about Magic from New Mutants.
Yep. No, that was Last Night at Soho. Magic from New Mutants. All right. Well, we have 2 things left on the list. We could talk about Boba Fett. Chris, are you caught up on Boba Fett?
I'm sorry, I'm playing Absurdal. I'm afraid I can't.
You don't want to discuss Vespa scooters and
wait, they had Vespa scooters in Boba Fett?
Yep, and the flash Bacta tank. Every time Boba gets into the Bacta tank, he has a flashback. So it's the flash Bacta tank.
Is it Bactine?
Might be.
I always wondered like if they were.
What'd be interesting about a Bactine tank, like or Bacta tank, is if you had just terrible, horrific flat, like the cost of your healing was just reliving your worst moments.
Well, maybe it's therapy, right? It's healing you physically, but it's also forcing you to deal with the traumas of your past, and so it's like a therapy box too, right? Confront your dark shames, your dark history, and that will heal you. That's one of those things about Wolverine that I always thought was interesting too, that his brain would heal over memories. I always thought that was an interesting way of, playing with Wolverine.
Have you tried Count yet, Chris?
Oh, good one.
Look at that.
It changes it as you go.
Yeah, it's so with Wordle, you really want to get those wacky letters out of the way as soon as possible because there's an infinite number of wacky letters. Or with Absurdal, with
I don't know if I did a good job or not, but I'm done with.
Yeah,
so that's good.
For me, when I was doing
Boba Fett,
Absurdal,
he's riding Vespa scooters down to the shore.
Well, so this week had the slowest and most boring chase scene that I think I've seen, at least like in the digital era, like where we can do anything we want, and that's what they chose to do. It was so boring and so sad and so lame. But Cliff, where are you now on the season of Boba Fett? What's your feelings?
I'm enjoying it. And I hate to say it, the acting isn't doing it for me, right? Like, and I just feel like I never wanted to see Boba Fett be human.
Right.
Like every time he takes his helmet off, and I know he's not a Mandalorian really, but like every time he takes his helmet off, a little part of me dies, right? Like it's just, yeah. I don't know.
The reality is that Tamura is not as good as an actor as Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
And
compelling guy, lots of charisma, but he's just not as good an actor.
Yeah. He would actually be we would all be a little more well served if he was playing the Mandalorian, just so he had less lines of dialogue to deliver.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think he's a fine character actor and a fine like for bits and pieces and exactly what he did in the prequels and stuff like that.
Did you ever see the movie where Tamura Morrison plays a cannibal?
Yes.
Trying to remember what that's called. That
wasn't Black Sheep, was it? That was Cannibal Sheep.
It was a New Zealand flick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I don't know. It's not clicking with me. So.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like if I'm ranking.
Oh right, he was Once Were Warriors. Yeah.
He was like I feel like the show in general, it's too full of itself. And it's not like The Mandalorian at least knew that it had to get somewhere, and it had the Baby Yoda thread to pull us through each episode. And this doesn't have anything like that, and we still don't know what he's doing.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's no story really. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's the thing. Mandalorian, each week I was like it was, anticipation television, right? Like I was like they left on a cliffhanger. I was super excited to see what the next episode was bring, and I'm fine with Boba Fett, but I'm just not like it's not like that, right? Where like as soon as the Mandalorian came out, I was like at my computer ready for it to go. Whereas Boba Fett, I could let it go a few days. So it's just
Okay. I'm a little. I went down an IMDb rabbit hole of our friend Tamora Morrison. He also played Abin Sur in Green Lantern.
Yep.
Can't you tell? He's been in a lot of stuff.
He
And
has.
I guess he's Arthur Curry's dad in Aquaman.
He's a lot of stuff.
Or who the hell is Tom Curry? Is that his dad or his like brother?
I don't know. No, I thought that the Vespa scooter chase sequence in this
he's the
episode
lighthouse keeper.
was the most boring thing that I have seen of the Marvel and Disney, of these big budget TV shows that we're theoretically getting, these TV shows with $10 million budgets now. That was the worst thing I've seen. But I love the Rancor bit. And that's kind of how all of the episodes have been. They've been half really satisfying and half like, really?
Yeah.
The last thing that we had on our agenda is Eternals, which I just finished rewatching about an hour ago.
Last night was my first watch, I'm sorry to say.
Well, this is what I've realized is that it's the first first Marvel movie that I saw only once in the theater. Normally I go 2 or 3 times. Even in Quar times, I managed to go see Spider-Man twice, and I managed to go see Shang-Chi twice. But this I didn't even bother with a second view.
I haven't even gotten through my first. I started it, and now, admittedly, I'm healing sort of from my dislocated shoulder, and so I've been tired and taking Advil and trying to sleep it off. Right. So I started up the Eternals, lying down, looking at it on my tablet, and I fell asleep.
Then the ambient
almost immediately, like how it's made Tire episode speed of falling asleep. Okay. Seriously, how it's made Tire episodes. It's like Ambien. Anyway, so I woke up and I was like, oh, I should watch this. It's Eternal.
You woke up and you heard Blade's voice and you're like, what's going on?
Well, no, this is the thing. I only got 20 minutes into it. I got to the part where like they're on like Rob Stark and the guy who ends up killing Khaleesi at the end of season 8. They meet and he's like not an Eternal. Dane and Gemma Chan is there and the teenager is there, and it's like, and then Kumail Nanjiani shows up, shooting finger guns, pew, 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 pew. And I'm like,
his guns sound
I'm like I'm
this.
out, and I just slept. And I slept really well. Yeah, that's how they sound.
That's the Kumail Nanjiani finger guns. Cliff, what did you think of the movie?
I mean, it's actually a very similar.
Did you make it through it?
I did, yeah. And I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, actually, based off all the bagging on it I've heard. And I think, like, I was realizing, I think we had the same problem when we were talking about Kimura. I just don't think Gemma Chen, though I like her, and she's obviously pretty, and I loved her in Crazy Rich Asians and stuff, I don't think she can carry a whole movie like she wants to here. Right? Like,
Gemma Chan is a thing you put on the screen when you want to see somebody look kind of sad.
She does do sad. Well.
Every time I see her, she's kind of sad, but that's the only note she plays.
Yeah, like that. Her range feels super limited and stuff like that.
This is actually Gemma Chan. I like
it.
Kind of sad.
He's sad because he's failed the Green Lantern.
A little disappointed in life.
Yeah,
and there's so much stuff.
I can't believe that all he's got is Ryan Reynolds to give it to.
And to be fair, like the Eternals, is a tough story to begin with, right? Like
10 characters.
Even as a comic book guy, I was never a huge fan of the Eternals comics. Like, it's not like, I thought those were high art. It's just, I think some of it, especially in the early days, was Jack Kirby getting his own head up his ass. Like,
for sure.
And just, come on. Like, the scope of it is just so, like, ridiculous that the stakes become stupid, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Earth is an egg and a celestial is going to hatch out of it. Like, and I
Sure.
get that's the celestial stories and everything, but it's at a certain point you're like, well, to hell with it. Take us,
At
take
a
us,
certain point, it's a stupid fucking story.
take
Excuse my
us,
language.
celestial. I don't care
Well,
anymore.
let's put it a different way. It's a fine enough story, but it's hard to reconcile that with, the universe where uh Nick Fury uses a gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, or like at the end when the Black Knight's like, I'm gonna do something about this. I'm like, what the hell are you? I love the Black Knight as a character, but what are you gonna do about it?
Wait
Like,
for your own spin-off TV show, I guess.
It was, yeah.
So, this is my second watch through. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more
Were
the
you
second time.
did you have a hard night and you just needed an extra nap, or
Just needed a bonus nap. No, I enjoyed it a lot more the second time through. Like,
you were more bought into the Stark brothers and their
yeah, I
pushback on Angelina
yeah,
Jolie's
the North did not forget.
arm spears?
I mean, so the problems with this movie are numerous. Like, they rely on essentially stunt casting for Selma Hayek and Angelina Jolie, and maybe to a lesser extent Kumail Nanjiani. Like, and who's Gilgamesh? Uh, Super famous people, so you recognize them immediately because they're not on screen for 10 minutes at a time. There's no
Mm.
character development for them. And so when they come back, you have to remember everything about them. It's like, oh crap, like trying to keep track of the like everybody's powers, 10 sets of powers to remember. Plus, Gemma Chan's got a boyfriend, and it's a good thing, frankly, that they ultimately made the villain, I guess the second villain, the deviant hybrid thing. Uh, uh, he only really is a character in like half a scene. Uh,
yeah, and that, I mean, a good thing though, an even better thing would have been just to delete him altogether,
yeah,
right?
didn't need him. Didn't need him. Totally
Big build up
unnecessary.
for like nothing, like absolutely no point to the story.
Now that said, people had sex in it, which is nice for a Marvel movie.
Can I also say I really loved the TV show Atlanta, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
Brian Tyree Henry was Paperboy in Atlanta.
Yep.
He's always Paperboy to me. So the idea of Paperboy being an eternal immortal god, that's fantastic,
I think
But
he was
that's
one of
not
the
what they
best.
gave me in the Eternals. I can tell you
Well,
that.
though to be fair,
To be
I think
fair,
he was one of the best characters. Like I think,
Sure.
and one of the best
he's probably one
actors.
of the best actors. I hate to say it, like, Richard Madden, who played whoever,
Icarus.
yeah, Icarus. It's like, when he was in Game of Thrones, then he was in the Bodyguard show, or is he goes very stoic, It's like I'm like, actually, I think these roles are perfect for him, where he's basically a block of wood
Yeah, he's a
who
department
every
store
once in a
Yeah.
while grunts. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's something to build a career on. It's not very compelling to watch, though. I have to tell you, it's
right?
really dull. Yeah. So Brian Tyree Henry might be the best actor in the whole damn thing. You
And he
know,
gave the most actual emotional range of any character in the
I'm
show.
not surprised. You know,
Yeah.
Like he seemed to actually care about what was going on. He
I
actually,
mean, and don't get me wrong, Angelina Jolie is actually a really good actor,
For
but
sure.
I'm just like,
he was phoning this one in.
Yep.
Like,
well, she was a special effect, she's spending her whole time. She was basically a T-1000 with those gold lances or whatever the heck it was. I only watched the first 20 minutes. I'm assuming the whole thing is just her with golden lances, like doing stuff, and
yeah,
A lot of it.
Richard Madden using his golden eyeball lasers to kill sentinels or octopuses. I don't even know.
See, I
So
think my problem now, and this is probably me looking
deviated
at this
septums
from
is
my vantage point in the future, but there are way too many shows and movies where they basically take the structure of the Justice League, and create almost a mirrored parody of that and say this is my version of the superhero team. You know, and like The Boys basically is doing that. Invincible is basically doing that. But like The
But doing it well.
Authority, Watchmen, I mean, all of these are like you can more or less map each of your characters to the archetypes from a group of heroes that existed in the 60s and 70s. And you want
But I
to
mean,
tell something different with that, okay, I guess, but the bar's pretty damn high.
I mean, and also, you know, you mentioned Watchmen, you mentioned Invincible, you mentioned these guys, the boys. They're all telling a new story in these archetypes, with these archetypes, and it's compelling and interesting, and frankly, it's brilliantly acted, voice acted in the case of Invincible, right? So it's like, and then you had this, which is like, you know, they poured all the resources, all the money, tons of talented people, and they got episode 1, you know. They got just crap.
I mean, ultimately, that's the core problem to me, is that 2/3 of the cast looks bored.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the guy who played Gilgamesh and then the guy who played Faustus both were the stars of that entire Eternals crew, right? Like I was also kind of disappointed by the choice of making the deviants animal-like. Like I've seen this in comic book movies too, where like, you know, because in the comic books, the deviants were like just, you know, mutated humanoid types, but you don't want basically your heroes beating up basically what looks like disabled people, right? So you turn them into animals instead.
Yeah, they couldn't go forward with the racist, you know, anti-disabled plot
Well, you've got
lines, it turns out.
you've got an uncanny valley line, right? You go too far
Yeah.
one direction and they're pure monster. And really, honestly, what fun is it watching somebody beat up an animal? And you go the other direction, and then you suddenly have to give them personalities and character motivations. And you've already got a movie with 10 characters in it. You don't have time. Like, they couldn't even develop a personality for the one deviant that they motion captured an actor for.
I have to tell you, the deviants actually reminded me a lot of the first run of I think it was Justice League, with the really crappy like Xbox animations. I'm like, what no one cares about shiny glowy blobs, you know? It's like they're kind of,
I think they
I mean,
ruined
this is film school bullshit, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was
like it's not even good rendering. It's just like, you know, they forgot to upgrade Unreal. You know?
This has been a problem that MCU is gonna, I think, continue to have in this phase, is like their vanilla kaiju monster stuff.
So
that
boring.
Yeah.
Getting into.
I mean, so I will say the dragons in Shang-Chi were better than these dumb deviant things.
The dragon was,
and I enjoyed the dragons because they're like dragons.
Not the plot function.
Well, honestly, I could rewatch Shang-Chi and actually like it and not fall asleep. Right? I don't think I could even make it through Eternals.
I think the dragon was better, but whatever the shadow flare was might have been a deviant, right? Like it's the same. Like let's add a lot of eyes and tentacles and call it good.
Yeah. I'll say watching Eternals a second time, I enjoyed it a lot more because you know what's going to happen with Selma Hayek, you know what's going to happen with Icarus, and
is he going to fly too close to the sun?
Well, you knew that, but
wow, shocked
that
a little on the
is
nose.
Sprite going to turn into an effervescent drink?
Yep.
What did you think about the at the end, the Star Fox and Pip appearance?
You know, I don't care. Those are
I've
characters.
Heard about that because I'm a man of the world.
I've never read a comic book with either of those characters in it, so I have no reference for them, and I don't care about Harry Styles.
But Harry Styles, Rob.
I don't care about him. I don't know who he is.
I don't care about Harry Styles. There are two weird things I thought about, like the Star Fox epilogue. One was Star Fox, like I had thought Marvel was trying to bury that character under the like, you know,
a little too pervy for your wants.
A little pervy, like
might as well bring back Howard the Duck again.
Like he's even worse than Howard the Duck, right? Like it's just Star Fox. That's so weird.
No, he's not a good guy.
No. And then I like Pip as a character, but I was really puzzled by the CGI-ness of it all.
The horrible Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't care for that either.
There was a lot to not care
But
for.
you know, of the bumpers, like I don't care about Blade either. I've never been a Blade person. I like the second Blade movie, but that's about it for my interest in Blade. And then what? The Dark Knight, the Black Knight, whatever that guy is. I've never read a comic book with him. I've never read anything related to Moon Knight. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
here.
really? You should read some Moon Knight.
Yeah?
Moon Knight's actually a really cool
Is it good?
comic character. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will seek that out. But I have on my shelf right now, which I never ended up finishing, the Eternals, the Neil Gaiman run, and the New Gods. So we were talking about Kirby getting too full of himself. I got about a third of the way into, you know, a 500-page trade of New Gods, and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Like, this is unfortunate.
I mean, that's the like Kirby as an artist, I really like, but Kirby as a story writer sometimes tends to go for these giant cosmic stories that just they're really hard. Like, you know, I don't know.
I think with most of these classic guys, they're better when they work with a team. You know, Kirby needs a good writer, just like Stan needed a good writer, a good artist. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, these are team sports. Not everybody's Frank Miller. Even Frank Miller doesn't get to be Frank Miller for more than a decade. Then he starts making weird stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. Sadly directing even worse weird stuff.
Ugh.
I hate to be that guy, but I gotta go.
Well, let's
you
rock
guys,
and roll.
you
Let's
guys
watch-
can keep talking.
Let's watch Peacemaker
about
for next
this.
time.
That's actually a fine idea. I want to check it out.
I do
I'm
too.
afraid it's going to be terrible, but I'm going to give it a go. You know,
I'm going
All
to
right.
enjoy it, I'm sure. All right.
Well, let's say goodbye to Cliff Lampy.
Bye, all.
Goodbye to Chris DeBona.
anyhow.
That was episode 688 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Malda, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Sure.